Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Ryan Richards, a residential loan officer and real estate investor based out of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Today I have another solo episode where I'll be talking about the impact that networking groups and networking has had on my business and my career, sharing some of the strategies that I've used to help grow my network and create a successful business. Now, hopefully, if you're listening to this, you have some aspirations to grow businesses or just grow your network. Networking has been a fundamental key to my real estate business journey, and it is for most people. You've probably heard the phrase, who you know is more important than what you know. And I truly believe that. So if you're interested in learning more about some networking tips, some networking groups in your community, you can join in. Stay tuned. So I truly believe that one of the most impactful things you can do as a business owner, entrepreneur, salesperson, or just someone who's looking to live a more fulfilled life is build out a very strong network. As you go through business, as you go through life, I'm sure many of you are listening have probably had this realization already, but if not, the people that you surround yourself with become incredibly impactful for how far you can go with your business, with your happiness, your relationship goals. Your inner circle truly matters. That's one thing I've really focused on over the past few months and really past few years is making sure that the people that I surround myself with, I align with, and I'm able to have relationships with people who propel me forward and encourage me to think bigger and think better. One of those key groups for me has been Connect Woo. If you see in my social media posts, you've probably seen me post about this group before. It's a networking group that we started back in 2021 originally. The group was formally launched with the name Connect Woo in 2024. And we've now grown to about 30 professionals in the local Worcester, Massachusetts area. This group has allowed me to build out some awesome partnerships, some great friendships, and some great business relationships. I've met my business partner, Ben Carboni, through the Connect Woo networking group. I've met my financial advisor through the networking group. I know some great real estate attorneys, estate planning attorneys. My favorite trash removal guy I met through our real estate group. The electrician saved me a few times in the group. So I've really been able to build out my network through this group. One of my favorite things about a networking group like this, and if you're considering looking for networking groups, I highly recommend you try to find something that incorporates this component. And that's our ability to connect and gain exposure within the community. So when we set out to make this group, we decided we don't want to be like the other networking groups. We want to actually bring impactful conversations and impactful events to the community. So we focus on hosting local events every other month within the Worcester community, which allows the 30 professionals in the group to gain exposure within the community. Local businesses can come, promote themselves, network with potential clients, gain friendships, relationships, and we often have a charity component to these events going towards some local cause. So that piece, I think, is fundamentally important. You'll see a lot of networking groups that are referral-based or that have very specific intentions. If that's what you're looking for, great. But if you want to make the biggest impact and have the largest reach, you need to have some sort of networking group that actually gains exposure within your community. Because you'll be so surprised where one connection can take you. And again, I'm sure as you're listening to this, you're like, Ryan, I already know that. But it's true. And not many people actually think about it regularly. It becomes a thought in the back of your mind that only comes around when it's relevant. But there's so many times where I meet one person at a networking event and it leads into many other fruitful endeavors in the future. So that's one thing you can do to expand your network is look for local networking groups that align with your vision, your objectives, and that have an impact in the community. I think you'll find those types of groups will lead you to many great things in the future. If you're looking for one, Connect Woo is definitely taking new members and would love to have the opportunity to chat with you about that group specifically. But if not, explore some groups in the area and try to find something that has a meaningful impact. The second thing that's really helped me in my career is surrounding myself with professionals who align with my vision or who have already accomplished some of the things that I want to do. I want to make sure that my core circle emulates a lot of the things that I look to strive for. So being professional, holding yourself to a high standard, having integrity, being a great member of your community, taking care of the people around you, all the things you would want to look for in a person, I want to make sure my core circle emulates. So one thing that I've done to try to find those types of groups is masterminds. So as you know from previous episodes, I held a mastermind in the first quarter of 2025. That's something I'm looking to focus more on in this upcoming year. I recently joined a real estate mastermind held by some bigger real estate investors, and I've really enjoyed the types of conversations we're having within that group. But you're able to be very selective in terms of your intention when you target a mastermind versus a networking group. So networking group's great. You generally have a lot more reach within a networking group. Connect to has 30 members. We hold events with hundreds of people. So you get to meet a lot more people, but the connections are usually more shallow in terms of you meet someone at an event, you might have a 5-10 minute conversation with them, and that's usually the extent of the interaction unless you follow up and get coffee or something. But mastermind groups usually run for 6 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years, some run indefinitely. So you're able to take those conversations and go on a much deeper level, and usually on topics that are of interest to you and your business. So I'm actually looking to start a business owner networking group in the next few months. So if you're interested in that, if you're an entrepreneur, you're in sales, you're a real estate investor, and you want to collaborate with other professionals who are building businesses, building brands, and being successful, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about that. Just to get a bunch of professionals in a room who are all going through a similar challenge, similar successes, similar wins, and put our minds together to collaborate. How did you hire that virtual assistant who takes care of your scheduling? What system do you use to keep track of your CRM? How are you marketing to people? What are you noticing as challenges in your industry? Are there trends you notice that you want to take advantage of? Maybe another business is formed. And I want to get in front of people who are high-level professionals, executing at a high level, and want to build something great. So if that's something that interests you, that's what I'm looking for this upcoming half of 2025, is to find those people who, again, similar vision, similar mindset, we can collaborate and go farther together. So that's the second piece, is the mastermind. You can be a lot more intentional with the types of groups you're in. You can kind of target the topics you want to talk about, but it allows you to push the conversation and connection much deeper. Then the third is local events. I think that's another very underappreciated networking opportunity. That's things like your local chamber of commerce, things like a local town outing. Maybe you sponsor a booth at your local country fair, your local flea market, whatever the case. But getting ingrained in the community is something that I think a lot of people miss on, and something, again, for this year I'm looking to get more into, is being involved in my community, having a presence, and being there as a valued member of the community. I want to be able to meet the people who are in the towns that I live in and understand that, hey, I'm here, this is what I do, and hopefully we can help benefit each other in some way. So those would be my top 3 things that you can do to help expand your network, and just some of the nuances about pros and cons of each. My fourth and final, which I would probably put as number 1, is be actionable and intentful on social media. If you just listened to the previous episode or future episode, you hear Russ Mangson and I talk about social media in depth. And I think social media is very underutilized for developing relationships, expanding your network, but it truly is and can be utilized as the number 1 networking tool that you have. I think a lot of people don't necessarily view it that way and aren't intentful with their connections, their conversations, or their followers, and they might not get the full benefit out of it. But you'd be surprised if you follow someone on social media that you actually are interested in talking to or want to learn more about. You follow them, you like a few of their posts, and you DM them and say, hey, notice we had a few mutual connections, or hey, notice you're really interested in this topic, or I see your business is in X and I'm in a very similar industry, would love to talk, grab coffee, and collaborate. Those types of outreaches can lead to some really awesome relationships. That's something that I've been doing more of, and I found it to be extremely beneficial. Because a lot of times people are on social media for a reason, and usually, unless you're aimlessly scrolling, the reason is to get some form of connection with someone. Whether it's you watch a 60-second clip, you relate with that person for 60 seconds, you're on to the next one. Or, as a lot of people do, you click on a post, 60 seconds, oh, that was kind of cool. Let me click on their profile. And you scroll through their profile. You start to learn a little bit more about them. And those hits of connection are very common across anyone who uses social media. So you're not alone in that the outreach is usually received very warm. Hey, thanks for reaching out. I actually saw your post or I saw your page and I would love to connect. I know John or Jim and I see that you guys are connected too. How do you know them? And you start to build those relationships. So I think being intentional with social media can be one of the best networking resources you have, especially from the warm connection standpoint. One thing I've started to do is see who the mutual connection is, and if I know them, use that as a warm intro. Hey, I actually might even reach out to them. Say, for example, I reach out to someone named John, our mutual connection is Beth, right? I can reach out to Beth and say, hey Beth, I see you follow John. How do you know John? Oh, John, met him at a networking event. He does video production. He's really great. You should definitely talk to him. I think you guys would be a great fit in terms of relationship or friendship, whatever the case. Then I can reach out to John and say, hey John, I connected with Beth, saw our mutual follower. She recommended you were awesome for video production and said we had a lot of a common interest. I'd love to sit down and have coffee with you, get to know more about you, more about your business, and see what we have in common. That type of warm intro is so much better received than a cold DM on Instagram saying, hey, nice picture, interested in connecting. Everyone gets those messages on LinkedIn that you instantly scroll past because it's a marketing pitch. No one really wants a marketing pitch out of the blue any day of the week. They want someone who's actually interested in learning more about them, their business, and finding a valuable connection. So those are some of the tips and tricks that have helped me and some that I'm obviously still working on. I have some goals set for this year, be more intentional with networking, maximize social media to build some great relationships, and then find some great masterminds. If I can't find one, as I mentioned earlier, I'm looking to start one. So if you're interested in talking more about networking, you want to reach out to me, learn more about me, my business, I'd love to talk to you. So all my info is in the show notes. As always, hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time.